talk about.
Good morning, everybody. The camera's crooked again.
Hope you got your coffee. We got lots to cover.
Now it's crooked the other way.
That's
All right. We have lots and lots of stuff. So glad you guys are here. Happy Saturday morning. It is beautiful here in North Louisiana.
Here's to an amazing day.
The best day ever. So that is one thing I wish I had was my phone, but that's all right. We got plenty right here in front.
I'll just drop mine. Keep going.
So we've got home buyers with good credit to pay higher mortgage rates. We've been talking about this quite a bit, but this is going to go into effect May 1st. We're going to cover this. Larry from Arizona, that was sent to me from 3D Customs Home Improvement. Thank you for sending this to ninjanationreport@gmail.com. Larry from Arizona passed on that there was a massive explosion on Golden Star Bridge in Connecticut after fuel tanker overturns and ignites roadway. Currently, multiple emergency crews are on the scene at a significant accident that occurred on the bridge between New London and Groton, Connecticut, after a fuel tanker turned over. So that's just kind of breaking news as of yesterday afternoon, I believe. We have an email from...
You just want to hit the highlights and then get into them story by story? You want to dive right in?
I was just kind of touching on a few hot topics.
Okay, go for it.
Do whatever you want.
No. I didn't know if we wanted to
I'll stop what I'm doing. What you got to say is more important anyway.
I didn't know if you wanted to kind of tell them what to expect.
Go ahead. I'll just go sit in the corner.
Shut up, you. You can tell it's already been a good morning here. We've been running around crazy this morning. Anyway, good morning to you guys. We've got to discuss everything all the way from the finances to Chris, like said, what's going on with the explosions to I'd like to hear your input on some stuff. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just know if we want to hit the highlights and kind of tell them what to expect.
Yeah, well, that was kind of, there's nothing really to say about it. You know, it's an explosion that was sent to me. I was just going over some things that were sent to Ninja Nation Report.
It's really great, some of the stuff.
We'll talk about going woke and going broke. And how entrepreneurs are seeing the writing on the wall. Hey, if we make a unwoke or non-woke, or I don't know how you would say it, company and market it to conservatives and people that like freedom. Isn't that a great idea? So if you've got a thought and you know of somebody like Bud Light that will say and do anything to have sales, more sales, you can come up with your own beer like this one man did. We'll get into that in just a second. Conservative, ultra conservative beer. Ultra right beer is 100% woke free. That's just one idea. There's more. We'll talk about a little bit about building parallel businesses, which was in the new parallel economy, because you've got the woke crowd. And I've got a list of actually woke and non-woke companies I'll go over. I'm probably just going to have to talk about the non-woke because there's too many woke ones. I'll give you the website and you can go check it out for yourself. CBDCs. There's some breaking news on that. UMU. They're adopting global localization public monetary system infrastructure. So that's a big one. We'll save that for the end. And I got a chart about the 10-year yield curve that's, it spells disaster. It spells recession. Now, I know Stacey's got a ton of recession news. Oh, and I even got some news on your student loan forgiveness. This is going to roll out, and you need to be signed up by May 1st. Share this video with somebody that has student loan debt because it very well might get forgiven. I think they're going to give a lot of money away here pretty quickly.
Speaking of the student loan, I saw a stat the other day that said 40% of individuals that have student loans are no longer paying. 40% of people not paying at all. So 40% of people, that's what it said. There was a stat that came out for 2023. And because I was looking up stats, what are current, not in the past, but what are current. And they said in 2023 that 40% of people that have student loans have completely stopped paying.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
I guess they think it's going to get
Well, didn't you say we can
forgiven.
get to it later, but there's stipulations on that. But all right. Well, let's start. You want to go with you want to start with first the woke thing, or you want to start with you pick? Because you're the boss.
When you're not around.
As long as he says yes. We're
Okay.
joking.
The woke thing. Yeah, we can talk about the woke thing first.
Somebody said there was something in North Carolina was just another a explosion. They said it was very suspicious. I saw it as it was passing by. Put it in here. Put in the comments where you guys from. We like to see it. And I actually go back and read, even though I missed your comments. I try to go back and read the live chat and hear what you guys have to say and get really great ideas from you guys.
Okay, so about the woke thing. So there's a few other people that have noticed these woke companies, and I'll just name a few. Maybe that'll strike up some ideas. The first one was Ultra Right Beer is 100% woke-free American beer. That was Seth.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know,
Hey, they're taking
of the
advantage.
situation.
Yep.
Why not?
Yep.
Conservatives will no longer complain, Seth says, about being about big corporations who use our money to indoctrinate our children with their woke garbage. So by creating the Ultra Right beer, Seth seizes the opportunity to create a parallel business to cater to the conservative market, to cater to the people who are not so open-minded, their brains fell out, who can't distinguish right from wrong. Parallel models are great for all entrepreneurs, and I know I've got several on this channel. There are several business owners, people that have owned multiple businesses.
Yep. Side hustles and all
Start
kinds of stuff.
thinking about through this, how to take advantage of this woke crapola. Harry's Razors. They used the same woke playbook that Bud Light did, and that sparked Jeremy. Jeremy Wire's CEO started a Jeremy Razors direct company. You know how the Harry's Razors is a direct thing?
We've actually purchased from them years ago. And so that's an awesome idea. Yeah.
So that's somebody else that is taking advantage of the situation. And so what we need to do.
There's one more before you go on to that. So someone has actually created an app. And if you want to go on here, it's really cool.
I was going to go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go for it. I'm sorry.
Well, tell them about the app.
It's an app. It's an app that you can download, and I'll try to put the description in there. And basically, if you're shopping, you can scan the code or the barcode, and it's going to tell you if it's a woke quote item or not. So it's helping conservatives know how to choose what they want to purchase. I thought that was someone came up with that. That's a good idea.
Very nice. There's another app. Is this the one you said? Public SQ.
I'll have to see.
PublicSQ.app. It promotes companies that promote America and freedom-loving values. So PublicSQ.app. You can download this app and shop for businesses that are aligned with your values. And if you have businesses, you can sign up or promote your establishment on this app. So there's a parallel economy setting up right now. Dave Samarna launched a personal website. Okay. This was the list of woke businesses and non-woke businesses. I'll try to put a link in the description if I can find it. But here's a few businesses that are non-woke that you might have seen or heard of, I'm sure. Ashley's Furniture, Bass Pro, Berkshire Hathaway, Black Rifle Coffee, Bubba Gump Shrimp, Buffer Insurance, Charity Mobile Phone. Never heard of that. That's cool. Deere and Company, Dillard's, Equinox Fitness, Good Ranchers, Goya Foods. I've done videos on Goya Foods. Hobby Lobby, Jeremy's Razors, Jockey, Lending Tree, My Pillow. We all know he's super conservative. Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs, On Running, Publix. I did not know Publix was a non-woke company. That's cool. Shell Oil is considered to be non-woke. Striving Asset Management, UFC, Yingling, WWE.
Yingling, that's a beer too.
Yingling's a beer, and WWE, the wrestlers are not woke.
Well, the thing that I was talking about is you can go to consumerresearch.org and you can sign up for a woke alert that they were talking about. So I think enough people have had enough of this. So that, like you said, they're coming up with alternatives and ways that we can fight back and not support some of these companies that are going to choose not to do what in our best interest.
And it shouldn't be like that, but I guess it is. It's just the way it's setting up, and I'm glad people are stepping up and making a list. They're saying, they're voting with their money, and I'm for freedom. If you want to be whatever, change your gender, whatever, that's up to you. It's between you and God. What you want to put in your body, what you want to do, that should be between you and God. What I have a problem with is people pushing it down my throat. That's where the disconnect is. That's where the hang up is for me. Indoctrinating children, all these drag queens that are going to these kids' parties and schools, and I have seen there's more crap on Twitter. It's all real, but I've been really kind of deleting some of those things because I get tired of seeing it. I really do. Okay. Where do you want to go from here?
It's up to you. You're
Right,
calling. I'll
your
follow
turn.
you. I was just going to start talking about finances a little bit, kind of what's going on in the financial industry, and I think that kind of falls
I've got
into
finance
yours.
stuff as well.
Let's go for it. So I guess it looks like Fed's going to do interest rates hike again. What they're looking about 25 points again, I think they're talking about. And I think the domino effect of what they're saying is going to be, once again, we were talking about bankruptcies, foreclosures, different things like that. So let's just get into it. So it looks like that they're going in May. They're getting ready to hike it again. And they said then based on it, beyond May, is going to depend on what's going on in the economy. But if you look what's going on in the economy, I'm going to touch on a little bit. Real quick side note, if you look and saw that the Silicon Valley Bank, the CEO and the two top guys, basically, they resigned. And one of them said that he would remain free at cost and he would be willing to provide information and assistance. So I wonder what they walked away with.
One of them was involved in the other stuff that went down in 2008.
Yeah.
Those banks.
So talking about, we've been discussing how all this stuff is going to affect commercial lending and stuff like that. And I went online and I looked, and I was looking at bankruptcies. Bankruptcies are actually, it's already 70 companies that are in the United States. I think it was way over that. I think it was like 111 total, some of the companies. And actually there's a chart that I found, and it is the U.S. corporate bankruptcy filings have hit a 12-year high in the first 2 months of 2023. And I'll try to maybe put a link in this also in the description when we finish the video. You guys can go back. In 2010, there were a total 828. And then it continued to go down. We spiked again in 2020 with 638. And we're already at 111. They said it's the highest it's been since 2010. And you go back and look, I started looking at all the companies that are filing bankruptcy. And some of them are already in the news that they're filing, but they have not actually hit that list yet. So we're already at over 70 companies, United States, since the beginning of the year.
And it's strange that 2010 was the worst.
Right after the 2008.
So it took 2 years after the GFC. So we're looking at 2025 being mid 24, maybe early 24.
Well, they're saying about 2025 is when all those commercial loans are going to come due, and they're not going to be able to pay them. That's what they're saying. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see, but and you guys can get on there and look. This is public knowledge. You can guys see how many right now. There's David's Bridal. Oh, real quick, interesting on the bankruptcies. So I found a list of different, talking about bankruptcies and layoffs and all that kind of stuff. And I want to hear but I noticed that if you go back to the 1st of January, all the layoffs, and of course you can see the layoffs and they start having bankruptcies. It looks like it was almost one a day since January the 1st. Some company has come out and said, we're laying off. And interestingly enough, Redfin and is it Outdoor or Open Door in the last 2 weeks have both come out and laid off hundreds of employees. And they are actually online real estate companies. And they said it's due to a 30% decline. But you can go and look.
30.
I mean, it is day after every single day almost. I counted up. It was over 90 companies. And every single day, another company was coming out with more layoffs.
And on the heels of this, and the title you saw, get ready for austerity, because that's what this boils down to. All this, the banks. I've got some really good stuff about banks. Mr. David Morgan sent to me. I'm going to try to get him back on the channel because I really like his content and stuff he comes up with. But this was sent to me from Walter, and it was this chart. This chart of the 10-year yield curves. Okay, each time it's been below zero, right there in July. We're already there. So it's nearly 100% accurate prediction. When the yield curve reaches parity zero, there will be a massive recession. This is true to form 100% of the time. Most likely later this year, I agree. Maybe early, late summer. No fear, peace, Walter. Thank you, Walter, for sending me that chart. It just kind of brings things home when you start seeing, unemployment.
Yep.
All the debt, the credit card debt that people are actually buying fuel to get to work.
Yep.
Food.
Yep.
They're starting to pay rent on credit cards. We're looking at some stuff that we're going to be remembering a year from now. You remember when this started happening?
Yep.
You remember when this started happening? I'll try to start revisiting the stuff because there's so much of it. It's
well, last
hard
November, it seemed like there was just a slew of layoffs. And if you go back and look at these companies, they'll even say like Open Door, they cut 18% of its staff in November, then turn around and again. And then in April, they've cut another 22% of its staff. And you guys just know, they just talked about it on the news. Meta's getting ready to lay off a whole nother slew. David's Bridal just laid off almost every entire employee that they have, and looks like they're filing bankruptcy. Then you've got Whole Foods. They're another grocery store, and that's a grocery store. And so you think that they would be like doing better because the food prices or whatever.
But they're not profiting from the high food.
No, they're
prices. Not. They're just, they got to move their prices up.
Have you noticed when you go to the grocery store, there's less and less employees?
Everywhere. Everybody's shorthanded.
Well, every time I go to the grocery store.
I've pushed the cart out one time. Usually at like Brookshire's, they'll push it out for you.
Yeah,
unload
they
your
never
groceries.
do it now.
I've been sacking my own groceries and pushing my own cart out for a while. And it's like that everywhere you go. When you go to a restaurant, we had to wait because we went out for my birthday.
Yep.
And there's just nobody there.
Yep.
It's really hard to get people to work.
Yep. I even went the other day and there was one cashier. Everybody else had to do self-checkout. No matter how much you had in your cart, it was self-checkout only pretty much. But I don't know, layoffs and bankruptcies are getting really, really more and more common. And interesting, Google, they've decided that they are going to have to lay off too. But interestingly enough, I didn't know Google apparently had massage therapies on staff. And oh my goodness, they're going to have to lay off their massage therapists, that the Google employees are not going to be able to get massages. And they have these little kitchens and these dining areas, and they're going to have to reduce some of that. I'm like, shoot, I need a job like that with massage therapists on staff. Anyway, it was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I think these tech companies they will continue to kind of regress. It's going to get worse.
They're taking a hit.
Worse.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the CBDC?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Let's come out with that.
So this was sent to me from Clayton Smith. He has a YouTube channel. Check out Clayton. He's doing his best to provide value, and he sends me some really good stuff. The Digital Currency Monetary Authority, don't you love that, launches an international central banking digital currency. All right, this is a CBDC, but it looks like there's multiple CBDC news stories coming out because I guess they're going to be different. They're still trying to pin down what they're going to do. I'm going to talk about what David Morgan brought to light yesterday in just a second. But the Universal Monetary Unit, the UMU, symbolized as ANSI character U, is legally a money commodity, can transact in any legal tender settlement currency, and functions like a CBDC to enforce banking regulations and to protect financial integrity of the international banking system. Now, here's the deal. I know it's boring reading that kind of stuff, but banks can attach SWIFT codes and bank accounts to a UMU, digital currency wallet transaction. SWIFT, like cross-border payments over digital currency rails, completely bypassing the correspondent banking system.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like they've actually got their hands on what they're going to use. And Daryl Hubbard is the executive director of the DCMA. He says this vision expressed by the IMF is the exact solution for the DCMA is delivering to central banks. Adopting a global, localized public monetary system, UMU can be configured to operate according to the central bank regulations of each participating jurisdiction. So they're considering it crypto 2.0.
Daryl guy, he said the same thing. He came out and he said it's a mix between crypto and our currencies that we commonly have now, or a CBDC. He said it's a mix. He said it's kind of in the middle. That the same guy came out and made that statement. They actually have a white paper on it. They've come out and have a white paper on this product that IMF does, and you're calling it the UMU or whatever.
UMU.cash.
They're calling it Unicoin as a nickname.
Okay. Yeah, I have it. Also known as Unicoin.
Yeah.
It is an innovation in store value cryptography. I don't know. Powered by artificial intelligence. It adopts a central banking monetary policy framework to ensure it has continuous purchasing demand, minimal price volatility, and annual asset pricing targets. Okay. Well, Mr. David Morgan brought this stuff up, and I thought it was spot on. Spot on.
While you're finding that, so he also come out and says, this Daryl guy, he's the executive director, he came out and said central banks do not fully understand the driving force behind the cryptocurrency adoption. They've missed their mark on the research, development, and the launch of CBDC products. He said, so that's why they're trying to take this and merge it partially with cryptocurrency, the concept, and with the CBDC. So this is from the IMF. So if the IMF comes down with it, then it's a good chance it will go global.
Well, here's David said this, and we've talked about it before. I've referred to it as the CBDC being a crotch rocket for the monetary system, right? Okay. It's they'll be able to control the velocity of money really fast, take or give or whatever. But the way he explained it was, let me just go through. He explained what we're kind of in right now. He thinks is kind of like George Orwell's book, 1984, where ignorance is strength, war is peace, freedom is slavery. And I agree. Now, the Dodd-Frank Act that was supposed to,
after 2008,
the $250,000 rule, if you had more than $250,000, they bailed that in, but you got to keep that $250,000. You were insured up to $250,000. That set the precedence. That started the UBBI, Universal Basic Bank Income. So these banks can do anything they want to, and they have a free handout from you and me in the form of unadulterated cash to their bottom line, straight to their bottom line. Now, these inconsistencies, I call it virtue signaling, like the Dodd-Frank Act. Oh, we're going to do this because it's a good thing. Is out the door. It didn't do anything. Money center banks versus regional banks. Regional banks, bailouts are likely, and money center banks are unlikely. Thought that was interesting. Most banks are insolvent. They are not done failing. I agree with this 100%. Now, the people that have their money in these banks are supposed to have reserves, right? Well, the reserves are under attack. They're there's a lot of pressure on them. A lot of the money has gone into the money market funds for higher yield. It's the safe, higher yield place to go, which takes more money from the reserves. So just know you're not whole in the bank. They're not whole. They do not have all of it. But, people they've been a part of the bank system so long they just can't imagine it, but they don't have it.
No.
You're an unsecured depositor. When you put your money in the bank, it is no longer your money. It is their money.
Yep. We'll just tell the story of what happened to us the other day. I went to actually get just a little bit of money out. I had to walk out with 20s. They gave me a brown paper bag that looked like a lunch sack or something. And they gave
like
me
a drug deal.
I walked out going, what the heck? But they didn't have it. She looked at me like deer in the headlights when I said, hey, can I just have a little bit of money? She's like, I don't have any. Can you take 20s? So, there you go.
So this is where it got interesting. The CBDC, they're coming, but look at what they've achieved without a CBDC. They were able to disconnect the Freedom Convoy truck drivers from their bank account.
Yep. Freeze it. Yep.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're dead. If you can't buy food and you can't, you're done. Russia was pulled from the SWIFT system, which I refer to as, giving a 90-year-old man a sword and pushing him out on the battlefield. An old, worn out. What was SWIFT was created in like the 70s. Here we are, 2023, weaponizing it. But what he referred to as the CBDC our fiat system is a failed system, and the CBDC is going to put a failed system on steroids. It's like treating a heart attack with an espresso. They're using the wrong tool for the job. And these are just some of my notes. It's kind of like brushing your teeth with a hammer. But depending on what the transition is and how it rolls out, I think they're going to be giving a lot of free money away. They're going to be stimulating every way possible, because when they do put rockets behind our fiat currency that other countries don't really want anymore, I think it's going to blow it up. I think he's absolutely right. It's going to put us on the fast track to blowing up a currency.
Well, I'm going to put a link in the description when we finish to the white paper, and you guys can go take a look at it and see for yourself. But I mean, they've pretty much come out and said that it's refuting every single potential risk. The IMF is explaining how the unicoin is strengthens and not weakens the international monetary system. They're saying it's conducting real-time, cost-efficient digital banking, digital trade, digital payments worldwide. So we've been saying we were going to be here. We just didn't know exactly how it would roll out, but it sounds like this is about to happen. They did not say how soon it was going to be put into place, did they? It's just that they've introduced the white paper, but I didn't see a date of a rollout.
On this?
Yes, the unicoin.
Everything. There's a lot coming out in May.
I just know they met in April and they rolled it out, the white paper in April, but I don't know a date. I didn't see a date that they were going to possibly implement it or do any kind of rollout on it. But so it's here.
It's so here. We've been talking about it. It's in the mainstream news now. We talk about it usually about 2 weeks before it hits mainstream, if not more. And I saw Charger Mopar said he hopes in 2024 they reduce the interest rates and go back to easing or lower them. But if we do that, I don't think we can just do that. I don't know if we can just, hey, let's just lower interest rates, because that's going to make inflation bad. It's going to make it even worse. And inflation is the tax that nobody sees, that everybody will vote in the form of, when you vote for free money, you're actually voting for more inflation. So I think they've got a long way to go. I don't think they can do it without killing the economy. It's on life support right now. All these bailouts and UBBIs and all
bankruptcies and layoffs, and
it's just held together with smoke and mirrors, So I just don't see how they can just automatically lower interest rates. They probably will, when we beg them for it, when everybody's just so broke.
Yep.
They got to help out the middle class. I can hear the speech now. We got to help the middle class because that's who we care about. It's America. Give them all money, and then the prices of your food are going to go up. That's the way it works.
Speaking of that, Janet Yellen's getting ready to come out and make a speech next week. I think it's Thursday, and they're already anticipating what she's going to be saying about the economy. She's going to also touch on China and the U.S. relationship. She's going to touch on inflation, how we're producing things. China's producing things. They're already anticipating what she's going to say. Apparently, a lot of people are looking to see what she has to say next week. So you guys pay attention. I think it's Thursday, if I remember correctly. We actually have a lot coming out next week. You guys hang on. We have a lot of job markets. Job earnings that are coming out with some pretty big companies. I think something's coming out with that First Republic Bank that we keep looking at. It's lost like 91%, I think, as of now. We have Janet Yellen coming out next week speaking. So, man, we got a lot that's going to be happening next week. And speaking of China, and we talked about all that kind of stuff, they've even come out and said that they said the members of the BRICS, which I didn't realize this. I knew it, but I didn't realize it was actually formalized. But after Russia invaded Ukraine, it sounds like they almost kicked Russia out of the BRICS for now. I guess Russia's trying to get back in. But anyway, that's what I read. I don't know if that's actually been formalized or that was just someone's opinion. But anyway, they're saying that they are going to...
I guess we'll call it BICS.
I don't know. They are expected to outpace the U.S. led G7. Well, if you guys look that up, that's like Germany, us, the UK, and all that kind of Europe, all those different countries. They are going to start outpacing us as far as growth. I mean, they already pretty much are. And China is going to be the lead producer. Imagine that.
Yeah, and through history, when there's an intersection of superpowers, there's usually a conflict. So, and I made a video the other day about Senator Tommy
Tuberville
shorting the Taiwan stock,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd done like 124 transactions trading that were violations. That's just the norm for our politicians. And Trump sold almost $4 billion of it, $3.8 billion worth of the stock. And that was the semiconductor chip manufacturer in Taiwan that makes 92% of the chips on the planet. So, that could really, really be a big deal. And then on the heels of that, I was doing that story, and a buddy of mine called me from Arizona. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah." I said, "Where are you working?" He said, I'm running pipelines to this big chip manufacturing plant. They're working around the clock. They're wide open." I thought, wow, they must see the writing on the wall too. So, I know it takes like 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer, to build this kind of factory, and that's working nonstop. So I hope we have that long, and there is not a enormous chip crisis, semiconductor problem. And I do remember one of the transistors was 10,000 times smaller than a human hair. Surely that was a misprint, because I have a really hard time believing that, because the average human hair is about 3/1000 of an inch. So anyway,
that's an interesting fact. I like that.
A strange fact.
There you go.
Do we want to cover student loan debt forgiveness?
Let's cover this and with that, both of them, because they kind of go together. These are Biden's initiatives. Here we go.
All right, go ahead.
He's going to break us. Well, we've already hit on it once, of where that he was going to, he's helping people that cannot afford homes. And we hit on this here the other day about how, he's like, and then not only that, but they're going to help with the closing costs. And they've done all these different acts and these bills and stuff like that. And we talked about this the other day, where they were going to, if you have a lower credit score, you're going to get a better interest rate. And we're going to cover some of your closing costs, so that'll help you, because you deserve a home. You might have ruined your credit, not made good choices, but the people that are going to have good credit, you're actually going to get probably a worse an interest rate based on that. And this is actually rolling out in May. That's what we read. So it'll see
May 1st,
so homeowners, as of now, they're averaging homeowners with a good credit score. They're going to see their monthly payments rise by $60 a month, while riskier borrowers will get more favorable mortgage terms because their fees are going to be reduced. It's the move the Federal Housing Finance Agency is hoping to address, so that everyone can afford a home. That's just wrong. That's communism.
So let me get this straight. Home buyers with good credit will soon have to pay higher mortgage rates. This, ladies and gentlemen, is communism.
Yes.
This is taking from the people that have done what they were supposed to do, did without, avoided instant gratification, paid off everything. This is rewarding bad behavior, and it's communism.
It is.
The new rule, which goes into effect on May 1st, will affect mortgages from private banks across the nation. One mortgage originator told New York Post, "It's going to be a hard conversation here," saying, quote, "It's going to be a challenge trying to explain to somebody that says, I worked my whole life for high credit, and I have put a lot of money down on your, and you're telling me that's a negative now."
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to communism. That's the way capitalism usually ends. Usually ends in communism. And if you talk to anybody that comes from a communist country, they don't want anything to do with it, because they can see it from a mile off.
And they're actually screaming at us, saying, "Why aren't you guys waking up? Why aren't you paying attention?" They get very frustrated, they said.
You work for years to build your credit, and it's over and over and over. And that really puts me in mind of the student loan forgiveness.
It does, and I want to go to that one more quote that this even GOP representatives, even our own people our congressmen and senators are going, "Come on, wait a minute, something's not right about this." They quote, "This new rule is going to unfairly penalize Americans for having good credit and reward those who accrue debt, Don't pay their bills with cheaper loans. And he said, that's not the way to do it. You don't reward bad credit. And even they're finally stepping out. And hopefully, so I don't know, supposed to go into effect May 1st. So good luck if you're getting a loan after that.
Yeah. So you remember the ninja loans? You know, everybody should own a home.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we got to lower the standards because everybody should own a home.
Yeah. Do you remember that in 2008? It was actually before 2008, 2006, 2007. People would get a loan from this bank for the housing market. I mean, for their house. And then they would go to this bank and they would get a loan for the down payment. Yes. I remember that all the time. They tried to talk me into doing that when I lived in DC. And I was like, absolutely not.
Oh, right before man, I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah,
it's about time we're getting married.
That would have been the best.
It might have persuaded my decision.
They did. They actually did. I went to the bank because I actually made an offer on a condo up in DC. And I had the down payment. And they're like, no, wait, you can do this better. They said, you can get a loan. We'll give you the loan for the, 80% down. And then you can go get the 20% over here and you can have 2 loans and it doesn't matter. And I said, you're not going to run my credit history? And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Let me take a second. JB, he's made several comments like this, I think. Why aren't we waking up? What do? We see it. That's why we're on this channel. How do we fight the powers that be? Educate as many people as possible. You can only save one at a time. You can only, and they're far and few between. So, usually when you're speaking to somebody about this, and it's very, very aggravating, because I learned this from Mark, you cannot be a prophet in your own town. So when you're talking to your friends and family, you're saying, hey, the woohoo bat flu is coming and they're going to shut this whole place down, they just looked at me like a deer in headlights. But I had it and I researched it for a month or 2 before it got here. I knew everything there was to know about it. And I was telling them, hey, no, this is coming. This is it. And it's the same thing with what's happening now. I started talking about CBDCs a long time ago. Here it is. But until they're ready to wake up, that's the biggest problem. And I agree with you. What do? Just educate as many people with facts as you can and try not to get mad at them for not getting it or understanding it. Try to be, just let them kind of think through it on their own and try to give them facts along the way as they're working through it. And maybe they'll, because once they see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand our currency is doomed to go with the other fiat currencies in the currency graveyard, like all of them do, you can't unsee that. So just take care of you and yours first and, educate people. Because you can't just stomp your feet and say, wake up now, let's revolt.
Well, I think if you give them facts, though, like I had someone call the other day and they were trying to convince one of their kids to get their money out of a certain bank. And the kid was like, no. Well, instead of preaching at her, he actually gave her article after article after article and asked her, just please read it and then make your own decision. And I'll never say, he said, I won't bother you. Well, she called back after that. And she said, you're not going to believe what I'm doing. She said, I'm going to get my money out of the bank and put it to another bank. So I think you're right. You can't just stomp your feet. But if we can provide facts like we're doing right now, hey, look at all the layoffs. Hey, look at all the bankruptcies that are coming off. Look at all the different things that are happening. It says, look what's happened with the CBDC, the unicorn or whatever. Look what's happened with the IMF, the stuff that they're passing down. I mean, they're already coming out with the next crisis, supposedly.
And I'd like to mention this. If there's obviously some pressure on you to tell people, or, why aren't we waking up? What's going on? I felt that pressure too. That's why I made a YouTube channel. This was never on the agenda, just so you know. I read horrible. I see letters backwards. Spelling is awful. But it doesn't matter. You do it through fear and trembling and you just do your best. And you're going to reach somebody that resonates with you. And you start accumulating like-minded people that are in the comments right here that, know what's happening, that are paying attention. And we have 400 people like-minded here. I would imagine 90. I'm usually preaching to the choir. So it's probably like 99% like-minded people. But that's, there's that option. And if you want help, reach out. I'll try to steer you in the right direction and try to tell you how to get going. But I think the more people that are talking about these absolute factual news that has nothing to do with conspiracy theories or any of that, And by the way, AJ was right. If you guys watch, I'm not even going to say his name because YouTube algorithm chew me up and spit me out. But, we're not talking anything but facts on this channel.
And he's right. YouTube was not on the agenda. And it was something that I had to actually get on board with too. So you're right. It's not something we just planned to just say, hey, let's go do a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're just concerned. We've been concerned for quite a few years. But go ahead. Yeah.
I wonder if we get everybody to hit the thumbs up button. We got 411 people on here. It would really help this information get out. It helps my channel. It's just a great thing to do. I don't mention it all the time, but it would be cool if you hit that like button. Now, I got on here and I harped on student loan debt forgiveness the other day. And I got some heat back in the comments about how it's not the college students' fault. How, don't blame us for getting in this situation. Well, it kind of is, but it's also predatory lending.
I agree.
And, they're taking advantage of the situation. These colleges' tuitions are redonkulous, just unreal. And then when you leave, you don't really have much, and there's so many negatives for somebody like me that goes to college. And I ask kids all the time, what are you going to go to college for? I don't know. To party. It's like they're going to get in debt that they're going to have to pay on for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Some of these people owe 2 out of 5 people, matter of fact, owe more after paying on their student debt loan for 10 freaking years.
Yes, because the interest rates.
It is broken.
Yep.
I'm going to get into this, and you're going to want to, if you have a student loan or know somebody that does, you're going to want to pay attention, take notes, and I'll put this in the description as well. Oh, there's really nothing to put in there. It's just, we'll talk about it, but here we go. Here's when borrowers will get student loan debt forgiveness under Biden's account adjustment. While President Biden's one-time student loan forgiveness program remains blocked by the federal courts, other major student loan relief initiatives are continuing. One of those initiatives is called IDR, account adjustment. It's just getting started, and borrowers may begin receiving loan forgiveness under the adjustment very soon. Here's what borrowers should know. The IDR account adjustment will provide credit towards your student loan forgiveness. The IDR is a one-time initiative that will allow Education Department to retroactively credit borrowers with time towards 20-year or 25-year repayment term under income-driven repayment. Okay, now the IDR plans allow borrowers to repay their loans based on a formula tied to their income and family size. After 20 or 25 years in repayment, borrowers can receive complete student loan forgiveness. I can't imagine paying on something for 20 or 25 years. But if your debt's worse after paying on it for a decade or two, it's broke.
I was there. I remember when I had a student loan, and I remember paying it on every month and getting that bill, and it was more and more and more. I actually went and got a personal loan with a better interest rate, and that's how I paid off my student loan. But keep going.
Well, you get to pay off everybody else's now.
Yeah.
Income-based payment was one of them. Pay as you earn. There's several different ones. I'm just going to kind of cut through it. Consumer advocates have long accused federal student loan services of improperly steering millions of borrowers into costly forbearances while lengthening the borrower's payment term. Under one of the fixes provided by the IDR account, the Education Department will credit borrowers with time towards their IDR loan forgiveness, even if they haven't been on the IDR plan. Now, here's what you need to do. You may first have to consolidate your loan. So talk to whoever you need to talk to about your student loan debt and say, hey, I need to apply for a direct consolidation loan. All right. And you got to do this by May 1st. So you got to get it consolidated first. Borrowers will have the commercially managed FFEI Perkins Health Education Loan. I'm not going to get into all that. Just know you're going to have to consolidate it. You got to do it by May 1st to get the full benefits. and borrowers who have reached 240 or 300 months worth of payments. That cannot be right.
Yeah, it is, because it's the equivalent of 20 years or 25.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
You pay that long.
You do. And if you're late, it goes horribly against your credit score.
Okay, so and here's a bonus feature. Borrowers who do not qualify for immediate student loan forgiveness may receive significant retroactive credit towards forgiveness. So last month, Biden announced that the ongoing loan pause, which was suspended payments and interest on government administration federal student loans since March, will be extended through June 30. So these months of suspended payments will continue to count towards student loan forgiveness. So it's being forgiven. It's this money doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from us. We're the ones that pay it back. Like always.
Get a super chat.
Super chat. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
Talking about all that kind of stuff you're talking about, people
knock them out. Thank you for the super chat.
Financial and all that kind of stuff. I did some stats. I like stats and kind of little neat trivia things. It said the lack of financial literacy cost Americans $415 billion in 2020. It talked about how that we do not educate our kids in schools. They talked about how in schools nowadays there are no classes to take regarding financial education, and it's literally costing us billions because of that.
Wow, those are some good facts.
So the average credit card debt is $6,270. Around 40% of Americans have less than $300 in savings. They said a staggering 63% of Americans have their personal finances affected by the boohoo bat flu. Anyway, it just went on and on. It said about 30% of Americans, only 30% of Americans have a long-term financial plan. Anyways, had some really interesting facts about how, that's when I was talking about 40% of student loan borrowers are not even making their payments.
And 2 out of 5 people owe more after 10 or 20 years of paying. It's nuts.
You're right, though. Student loans are insane. And they are. And the kids that are getting them, they're so young. They have no idea what they're signing up for.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have a full deck of cards till you're 30. Maybe sometimes it's a little sooner, but most times a little later. And, you get in all this debt and it just wrecks your life for the next 25 years, 30 years, or maybe they'll forgive it. Maybe they won't. But the bad news is they're using this money to indoctrinate our children.
They are. And
JB, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you both for the info and your time. I appreciate it. There's more that goes into these videos than anybody will ever know, trying to get information on all these topics, but it's important to get it out, guys. There's just no way around it.
Well,
you want to talk some gold and silver, because I know you've got some news on that.
There was an interesting story that came out from Arkansas. So if we've been covering a little bit here and now and then that a lot of the states are, they're repealing that if you have to pay taxes when you purchase precious metals, which is nice. There's only a handful left that require that. But they're also saying, hey, that we're going to accept it as for taxes that we've talked about. It's going to be considered legal tender. We've talked about all these different states. Well, Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee, she just came out and signed a bill that is making gold and silver legal tender in their state. It will repeal the state capital gains tax on gold and silver, which I want to talk about in just a second. And it's taking a step toward treating precious metals as money instead of just a commodity or as an investment. And so it did not state Eagles, because right now, as you guys know, Eagles are considered the only legal tender. It's across the board. So from what I'm understanding, this bill, it is making, quote, gold and silver legal tender, and it's a medium of exchange. So, man, I think that's really interesting. And speaking of capital gains taxes, you guys have talked to me about this. And actually, I got a question from Ken. He said, if you to sell your precious metals, how do you do it? And is there a capital gains tax? And I'm not a tax expert on that. I have been told by some people that, yes, if you do sell, if it's within a certain amount, even certain types of coins may be taxed more than, or not more, but some like rounds, I guess, are not maybe taxed. Some of the coins are. So if you're going to sell back, I recommend finding someone that's an expert in that tax area. And then also I tell people, if you order, save your receipt. You don't have to show it to anybody, hide it in a special place. But if they do call you on it and say, hey, pay capital gains tax, you wouldn't have to pay on that full amount. You could say, oh no, I bought it for $30. I'm selling it for 40. So you only should have to pay on that $10 is what I'm being told. And then they're asking if it's reported. From my understanding, if it is over a certain amount, that the either if you sell back to us, to a local coin dealer, whoever, that they are going to report it and you will get some kind of form. However, if you sell below a certain amount, as of today, that it does not get reported. I believe that's correct, but I'd have to double check with the tax guy. You guys asked me the process. If you sell back through Miles Franklin, you just ship it up, sell it, mail it back to our shipping department. It is unpacked under a surveillance camera. So if there's any question, we can actually send you that tape. And then based on what you provide to us, then we give you, we'll say spot right now. I'll just tell you spot right now is $25.25. If you were to sell back to us right now for silver, we would give you $25.07 per ounce. So maybe that answers a couple of questions. But I thought that was exciting about Arkansas. Go Arkansas.
Yeah, that's big news. There's 24 different states, 23 different states now that are taking that little step, that one step in the right direction, to say, hey, let's make it legal tender. You can pay your taxes in it. And at first everybody's like, oh, I don't want to pay taxes in precious metals, but that's just a milestone. Just to kind of get the ball rolling. Yep. And I think it's really, who doesn't? Yeah. Precious metals guys think this is amazing news when states are moving to make precious metals legal tender. That is, we're actually going in the right direction.
We are. There's a few of you guys, I've seen your names pop up, and I wanted to say hi. I know Miss Catherine, I saw you and a few other people to say hi. But yeah, that's on silver right now. Silver's $25.25. Just so you guys know, last week at this time, I was locking in at $25.15. So silver's gone up. Gold has gone way down. Last week at this time, I was locking in at $2,044. It right now is $1,987. It's gone down $57. Gold has. So I will be working today. Obviously, I'm not going to be working tomorrow, Sunday, except for by appointment. But yeah, so gold has gone way down. $57 since last Sunday.
See, that's just not that much to me.
It is when you're making a purchase.
No, I agree. I mean,
that covers your premium pretty much,
agree,
a good portion of it. In a week to go down $57?
Well, it went up $57 in a week, didn't it?
No, it gradually crept up and hung around the 2,000 mark, and then all of a sudden this week it just went.
Had a major crash.
I don't know.
Bud Light hitting up auctions to build up the Tool 401k. That is an awesome idea, Chris, telling all my folks about it. Yeah, the Tool 401ks, I'm all the time looking at my tools that I use all the time. And I'm going to start, I'm been accumulating, but I'm going to start accumulating even more of the tools that I know I have to have. I just think it's a great idea. The food 401k, the orchard, the blueberries that I just planted, I've got blueberries all over them. It's really cool.
Exciting.
The pond, that has been really, I took money out of the system and I put it into something hard, like a 2-acre pond that holds fish that will have more fish than I could ever eat, and from what I understand, if you catch a bass that's this big, you need to feed it to the chickens or throw it out because they repopulate so much. You cannot put too much pressure on it, says the lady from Wildlife and Fisheries. So that's really exciting. And that's one thing that I would like to try to tell you guys is, if you got a bunch of money in these banks that don't really have your money, you're an unsecured depositor, you can take a little bit of that unsecured depositing and put it into something hard that will feed your family, that will bring value to your property. We just got through, I'm not all the way through, I'm building a humongous paint booth, 43 by 33, I think. It's got rolling doors. It's going to have fans and lights, and I'll be able to paint just about any project I want in there. And, that was part of the Tool 401k to be able to produce stuff for the oil and gas industry. Because I think the oil and gas industry is going to do pretty good. They seem that's one of the things that we're going to have is fuel,
I got a question when you finish. Keep
Go
going.
ahead.
So I got asked by someone that called in the other day, and they actually asked that I ask you guys. So even if the live stream ends, if you're watching this video, get in the comments. I'd like to know. She called and asked. So, okay, we live on property, so we can invest in tools and stuff like that. But let's just say you've got a single woman. She's pretty much prepared. She has food. She lives in a smaller home, small backyard. She's bought precious metals. She has food. She has stuff stocked up. She's done everything that she knows to do, but she has some funds sitting there and she does not know what to do with those funds. Does she just keep it in a money market account where it just sits there? She said she's tried to take some out of the bank. What do you do with that then? She said, I don't want to go do rental properties because she said, I'm an older lady. She said, so what do you do?
That's the question we get all the time.
So I'd like to know what you
What do
guys
we do?
think. Yeah. What do you
What do we
do?
do? And we're not, you know, I could get in big trouble by telling you guys what I think you should do, even, or what you should do. But speaking for myself, I would
Hey, Mr. Eddie.
eliminate some of that risk. Don't keep all that risk on the table. You know, take some off. Money markets, precious metals are performing really sound. That's real money, and states are starting to.
Okay, but say they
take
already
advantage
have
of it.
precious metals.
Well, then
So
they shouldn't have too much liquidity then.
okay.
If you know, you can get up to 50%. Okay, here's what I do. Exactly what I do. I find a percentage that I'm comfortable with, and I put that into precious metals. I find a percentage that I'm comfortable with keeping in the bank, and I keep that in the bank.
Crypto.
You know, I have a speculation bag.
Mm-hmm.
We speculate with a portion of our wealth because
Even
that's the
miner
environment
stocks.
we live in.
Yep.
Mining stock is a stone cold speculation,
Yep.
big time. So you could try to look in the future as best you can and think. So what I do is think about what is going to do good in the future. What is in short supply now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in my opinion, being Stacey's on the front lines selling precious metals, but there's a lot of pressure on that, and it looks like it's never looked before. I'm not saying we're going to run out tomorrow, but I am saying I think there will be mining it along with copper, nickel, zinc, all the other things that we have to have, because the mining industry has really been hit by high fuel prices, high overhead costs. Yep. And, you know, you could look at investments like that to speculate on a portion of your wealth. And, you know, you got your cash bag, and we have a real estate bag.
And it's not for
rental
everyone.
Properties.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to do that.
Right.
We actually took a lot of that risk off the table and sold all of them but one.
Right.
So you just have to think in percentages, and it's really hard to do. And it's even harder to enact the plan.
It is. So we talk about it, but actually take that money and go do it. You're like, okay, do we do it?
Because, you know, she said she was older. So money market was like, that is the safest of the safe.
Yep.
It's the most liquid, safe, and all that. And if that's what you're most comfortable with, then by all means do that. It's kind of like return-free risk, though. I'm not sure what it pays, 3-4%.
Well, she even was talking about the T-bills. You know, she was like, you know, should we look at that? And we've actually had people ask us on that because right now, you know, they're pretty good for your return rate, and then just yanking them out. But the problem that I've kind of learned about, I've never done T-bills, but from what I'm hearing, talking to people, you really got to stay on it and jerk your money out quick, or you lose money on that. But I don't, that's just a question we get asked a lot.
I've never owned any of that. I'm a hard asset guy. It just makes sense to me to buy land. And when I do, land or property or something like that tangible, I never regret it.
Yeah.
We just bought some land next to us. I rejoice. I thank God for it every day. It's just such a blessing to own property that's free and clear. You know, that kind of feeling to me is just better than having it in a money market. But I understand if you need that liquidity and you need it fast, you know, you got to be able to move it. I get it. Precious metals are kind of clunky. That's why you don't keep too much of a percentage in there, or not more than what you're comfortable with. Because if you do, there's a lot of people that speculate on precious metals like me that aren't prepared for a real downturn, for something that would really crush the price down and weed out the small hands. You know, the soft hands of people that don't really believe in it. And I hope everybody here is prepared to take
And that's exactly what I tell people when they call and they ask, just so you guys know, I will never try to talk you into buying it. I ask you, why are you buying it? Why? If you don't believe in it, you don't need to buy it. And I've told many of you guys that. One more side note before we go, or whatever you want to talk about next. Passports real quick. We've told everybody one of the things that we've heard from a lot of people that have come from other countries. We're like, give me, what would you do besides precious metals and different things like that and food? Every single one of them has said, get your passport. And we've told you guys that. Well, they've come out now and they are the passport application, how the time that you're going from the time you apply to the time you get it is getting way behind. You see, you could get it in a couple weeks, even if you expedited it, which we did pay at one point to expedite. But you're talking, they said 7-9 weeks, maybe even more than that. So you guys, that's something I just put on your list to get done. Just mail it off, pay that check or whatever. It's a couple $100 and just get that done. Just so you're not sitting there. That's just one more thing that you can add, I think, that you're a little bit more prepared if you need it. Hopefully you never need it. I mean, heck, you're about to have this new driver's license just to even travel state to state. So you might as well just get a passport.
If you wait till you need it, you won't be able to get it.
Yep.
So why not? What's the downside in having a passport?
Yep.
It just makes sense. If you need to leave, you don't know. That's the thing. People are like, well, I'm safe. I feel safe here on my land, but you don't know what's going to happen around you. You don't know if a train's going to fall over and they're going to let the whatever's inside of it out and set it on fire. You never know in the Thunderdome. So it's just one step you can kind of put in your prepping toolbox. Have your passport ready.
Yep.
I hope we never need it.
I do too. At least not for that reason.
Yeah.
But
all right, guys.
we've been on here quite a long time. And
Been on here
the
an
crazy
hour.
thing is
I appreciate you being here.
we've got more notes and more stuff that we could cover, but that covers it.
We're going to
today.
save. Stacey had a lupus flare up, and we're going to cover some of those foods in the next lupus video. I would talk about it now, but we're making a playlist for people that have lupus or don't know they have lupus or feel bad and they don't know why, and they've heard about it and they think they might have it. So we're going to have a whole playlist on lupus and how she was able to beat it and be 100%
Yes,
and
I am.
have nothing, no problems with it as long as she eats a certain way. And we're going to try to highlight the foods that make her.
Yeah, hopefully
have
help someone.
flare-ups. It will. There's no doubt in my mind.
Nice.
So, guys, have an awesome, awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.
Someone must have pulled up.